Hello everyone, good evening. You're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. Over a year of battling the pandemic and the second wave is wreaking havoc across the country as the surge continues to bring us back to square one. But as cases rise, what is emerging is the sorry state of our medical infrastructure that is failing to cope with this crisis. India is reeling under a shortage of beds and oxygen supply, coupled with the apathy of the authorities, which is making the situation worse across the country. On your screens is Jharkhand's Health Minister, Banna Gupta, who was taking rounds of the Sadar Government Hospital in Ranchi, inspecting it to make sure everything was up to the mark. While he was doing this, a COVID-positive patient was made to wait on a stretcher for hours until he eventually died. The patient's daughter was asked to wait as beds weren't available. After her father passed away, this is what she had to say to the authorities.
कब से इंतजार कर रहा था?
आधा घंटा लग नीचे एम्बुलेंस खड़ा क्या चलिए यही पे मर हैं तड़प के डॉक्टर आधा घंटा चिल्लाया कोई नहीं आया
इंटरव्यू ले रहे हैं पापा को वापस कर पाएंगे वोट लेने के लिए से बात है
कोई नहीं है यहाँ पे देखने के लिए
Let her anger and fury sink in. Her father died right outside the hospital as the state's health minister was taking rounds inside. The same thing happened in Patna, where 4 COVID-positive patients died outside the Nalanda Medical College Hospital due to the non-availability of beds. They were made to wait for hours in the heat and then succumbed to the deadly virus without any medical attention. This took place while the state's health minister Mangal Pandey was inside the hospital for an inspection. He was checking whether the hospital was prepared to tackle the surge in cases. But people were dying outside the same hospital on his watch. Even inside hospitals, there is no guarantee of receiving the medical care that is the right of every citizen. These are CCTV visuals from a COVID ICU at a government hospital, Shivpuri, in Madhya Pradesh. A COVID patient died after his oxygen machine was removed while he was sleeping at night. An investigation has been initiated while the family says they will not cremate the body until and unless the guilty are punished. If we go from Madhya Pradesh to Chhattisgarh, we see the local administration in the village of Rajnand using garbage vans to carry COVID bodies to the cremation grounds. No dignity even in death for those who have succumbed to this deadly disease. Citizens who have gone the extra mile to help the government during the lockdown have not been spared this apathy either. Vishal Singh fed thousands of people who were stranded and jobless due to the lockdown. He was lauded everywhere for his service, for his Atmanirbhar spirit, but he too could not get a bed for his brother who tested positive. He'll be joining me on the show in just a bit. Only with the help of some friends and officers, Vishal was able to secure a bed for his brother in Kanpur. But a former judge in Lucknow was not so lucky. His wife died after he was made to wait for hours for an ambulance. He did not even have anyone to carry her body to the crematorium. Despite repeated calls to the local administration, nothing happened, just nothing. This is just a glimpse of the state of affairs across the country. Amidst the second wave, the onslaught of the mutant strain and the poor COVID discipline across the country. People are dying in their homes and outside hospitals, while it is the medical infrastructure which is clearly in the ICU and is clearly showing no signs of improving. Today on News Epicenter, we have people who will be sharing their stories. Let me bring in my guests. Dr. Girish Tyage is the Secretary of DMA. Dr. Giridhar Babu is the Head Life Course Epidemiology at PHFI. We will be joined by several of those who have been impacted. Vishal Singh, Rajiv Suri, Deepak, all of them are in different cities. They'll be telling us their stories. I'm going to begin with you, Dr. Giridhar. 2 lakh cases today, the virus clearly has roared back in India. Some say unofficial figures could be much higher. What changed in 2 months that explain this exponential rise in infection? Is it the double mutant?
Thanks for having me on this show, Maria. So the situation is currently of concern, not just because of the variants of concern, but also because of the kind of apathy that you are showing in terms of the medical infrastructure and services. Last year, the lockdown and post lockdown, we had adequate opportunities and time to step up the resources and ensure that we'll prevent any such calamities due to any multiple waves. Currently, the surge in cases is a result of three main factors. The first one being the virus itself. There might be infectious variants which are in circulation, not just double mutant. There might be some more indigenous and also the imported variants. We have to understand what is the extent and where are these present. The second factor is the immunity. In terms of the host immunity, two things are happening. One, we have not been able to cover a significant proportion of the population with vaccination. Two, there might be part of the reinfections happening because of the waning antibodies. The third thing is, in terms of the environment, almost everything that we are seeing and doing is conducive for faster transmission of the virus. Be it full house cinemas, marriages, or religious congregations, or political rallies. Every such crowd is facilitating faster spread of the virus. The net result is we are seeing these peaks in each of these states. Started with Kerala, then Maharashtra, then currently more than 9 states have an RT of more than 2. Just to explain on the last bit, let's say there are 4,500 cases in Bihar as of yesterday. The reproductive number is 3. That means these many people on an average will be giving the infection to 3 more people. So the next day it will become 12,000 over the next 14 days. These 12,000 people will give to 3 more, which means 12 3s are 36,000.
Have we reached the peak, or is the peak yet to come?
In terms of the waves happening in these 9 states, the ascent of the peak has just begun, and the peak is not at least in the next 2 weeks.
That's certainly a very, very worrying information there, Dr. Giridhar. Let me bring the citizens here and give them space to talk. Deepak is based out of Bangalore. He has been trying to get bed for his father for 2 days, but has got no luck so far. Deepak, tell us your story.
Yes, that's right. So my father got tested positive for COVID on 13th of this month, Tuesday. Okay, and ever since we are trying to get a bed for him, since he's an aged person. He's 72 years old, and as per the doctor's advice, they asked me to hospitalize him. But unfortunately, I was not able to get a bed to hospitalize him. But a good news is, sometime back, half an hour back, I just got a confirmation that BBMP have blocked a hospital ward for my father. So he would probably be hospitalized now after the continuous effort of 2 days.
So the good news finally after 48 hours is that your father will be able to get a bed. How is his health condition now?
He's kind of stable now, so his pulse oxy saturation points readings are good. It's 95 and plus, and also his temperature is under control. So he is kind of stable, but then again the age factor matters, right? So he being a 72 years old, anything can happen. His health can deteriorate anytime. So I was advised that you better hospitalize him and let the doctors take care of him, and then decide whether he needs hospitalization or he can recover from home.
Dr. Girish Tyagi is the Secretary of Delhi Medical Association. Dr. Tyagi, you know, the good news with here, the Deepak here is that he has managed to get a bed for his father. What will you be telling those who have tested positive? Will you be saying that they should isolate themselves and look at being at home and constantly monitor their loved ones? What is the best protocol that can be followed? when the beds outside in hospitals aren't really available?
Scarcity of a bed is there. Oxygen cylinders are also in the scarcity, and vendors of the oxygen who are providing the oxygen have increased their prices. Medicines are also not available easily. So when a patient becomes positive, at least they should measure their oxygen through pulse oximeter. And if there are comorbidities, then of course they should be in contact with a doctor. And the difference is because now even if you want to get a bed, it is very difficult to get a bed. And Mr. Deepak is fortunate enough to get a bed after say 48 hours or so, but not all the persons will be fortunate. So we should be monitor at residence, at isolation, at Delhi. The Delhi government has provided banquet halls and hotels and converted them into the isolation centers where at least some doctors will be there to supervise them. So whatever the condition, we should keep our patients in the isolation and monitor them. They should monitor themselves in consultation with the doctor, and as and when required, they should immediately be taken to the hospital, and every hospital should have some bed. At least if my patient, if my father or mother is isolating at home because there is no bed, when their condition deteriorates, there should be some
We certainly hope that the
reason to
hospitals,
get admitted at a hospital when if
that
it is required.
overall the health infrastructure should have been ramped up in this period of 8 months that we had, because second wave is a reality. Every country had faced it during Spanish flu as well. There was second wave, and it was only during the second wave that more people lost their lives. Vishal is joining me. Vishal Singh is joining me. He is from Lucknow. He did not get a bed for his father. In fact, for his brother in Lucknow, had to finally admit him in Kanpur. Vishal, what really happened?
Madam, I am comfortable in Hindi,
जी बोलिए.
so I talk to in Hindi. Hello,
जी बोलिए बोलिए.
hello.
हिंदी में बोल लीजिए. क्या हुआ था?
Hello.
We'll try and fix that line with Vishal in just a bit. But Dr. Girdhar, we are hearing stories of several people. Of course, it is about medical apathy, apathy, and the concern is also of the entire healthcare infrastructure being overstretched. Did the states not prepare enough?
Yeah, so this cannot be generalized for the entire country as such. Maya. The reason is some states have increased the supply of oxygen in the government facilities. For example, I know of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka state where the government sector has stepped up having these ICU setups at the district levels, and this may be variable in other states. But right now, more than the anxiety and the panic that has been created because of the increasing cases, what we need to do is understand how do we triage, how do we prioritize the services for those who deserve, especially in terms of oxygen,
Yes.
and how do we get the beds required for them. In order to do that, we need to have centralized management system for bed allocation. We need to ensure those who have respiratory distress are identified by frontline health workers or by own self-monitoring, and immediately ambulance services should be available to shift people who have respiratory distress. We need to do smart management here. Just panic won't help. The good news is 90% of the cases are asymptomatic, so the casualties will not be that much. But
Okay.
even the 5 to 10% who require hospitalization might we might run out
Okay.
of the
And
capacity.
Vishal's brother required hospitalization. Vishal is joining me. Vishal, अगर आप हमारी आवाज़ सुन सकते हैं, मुझे ये बताइए कि आप कब अपने भाई के लिए बेड लेने की कोशिश, ढूंढने की कोशिश कर रहे थे? अभी उनकी स्थिति कैसी है?
मैडम, करीबन 3 से 4 दिन हो गए और भाई के लिए बेड ढूंढने के लिए मुझे, और कहीं पर भी बेड नहीं मिला पूरे लखनऊ में। मेरा छोटा सा एक इतिहास है। मैं पिछले 14 सालों से लखनऊ के सभी अस्पतालों में सेवा कर रहा हूँ। मुझ जैसे आदमी को सारी सोर्स लगाने के बाद भी आईसीयू नहीं मिला, और एक स्थिति ये थी, मैं पल पल अपने भाई को तड़पता हुआ मरता हुआ देख रहा था। ऐसे में कानपुर में राजशेखर जी ने आके मदद की, और तो उन्होंने कानपुर में एडमिट कराया। व्यवस्थाएं बहुत चरमराई हुई हैं, चीज़ें नहीं हैं, ऑक्सीजन की व्यवस्थाएं नहीं है, लोगों के पास वेंटिलेटर नहीं है, मतलब बहुत ही क्रैश कर गया सिस्टम। कहने की बातें हैं, सब बताई जा रही हैं, लेकिन सेटिस्फैक्ट्री कुछ नहीं है। आज यहाँ पर अरबों रुपए की सड़कें बनाई जा रही हैं, अभी जरूरत नहीं है हमें, अब ये वेंटिलेटर की जरूरत है हमें, लोगों को ऑक्सीजन की जरूरत है। जो दिखाया जा रहा है वो व्यवस्थाएं नहीं है।
विशाल,
हालांकि
आपके भाई की तबीयत
गवर्नमेंट
अब
सब कुछ
कैसी
करने
है?
का प्रयास है। तबीयत भाई की अभी कुछ ठीक है, क्योंकि राजशेखर जी पूरा ख्याल कर रहे हैं। अगर वो ना होते तो शायद भाई नहीं बचता। ऐसे अधिकारियों की जरूरत है समाज को, जो डेडिकेटेड लगते हैं। मैं उनका नाम इसलिए ले रहा हूँ क्योंकि वो मेरे लिए भगवान का रूप लेके आए। मैं वेल कनेक्ट हूँ सभी लोगों से। मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको, 14 साल से मैंने कितने लोगों को सेवा करी होगी। मैंने इस लॉकडाउन में भी करीबन 7.5 लाख लोगों की सेवा की। मतलब घर से निकल के कोई नहीं देखा दिन ना रात। और मुझे ही अफसोस हुआ कि मैं अपने भाई के लिए बेड एडमिट नहीं करा पाया, एक बेड नहीं दिला पाया।
जी, we'll try
तो
and
बहुत
connect
खराब
with
स्थिति है। सरकार
more
को सोचना
people
चाहिए। हम
who
लोग
will
दावे
be
कर रहे हैं, लेकिन
sharing their
एक
stories.
इंटेलिजेंस
Yes, uh, we are hearing these stories from across the country. Reports are coming in of shortage of beds, shortage of oxygen supplies. Last year's lockdown was supposed to about strengthening our hospital infrastructure. What really happened, Dr. Tyagi?
Yeah, we can say that our health system is basically, I can say it is collapsing, and we have to seek the other means to regenerate it. Maybe that, as our co-panelist told, that we have to prioritize our needs, and some central system should be there. Every state should have a central system that the patients or the relatives should know where the bed is available, where the ICU is available, whether the ventilator is available, and it should be a dynamic online system where the patient or the relative can see to it that such and such place is available for a general bed, such and such place for the ICU or ventilator, so that they can immediately rush that. Even the ambulance services are also not comfortable at that moment. People have to wait for hours to get an ambulance reach their spot to take the patient to the nearest hospital. And when they reach the hospital, it is said that the relevant bed is not available, or if the patient requires ICU is full, or ventilator is not available. So, and to the patient also, if they require admission, then only they should visit to the hospital, because now the panic button is there. Everybody who comes to be positive rushing to the hospital.
Yes.
So we have to be very careful to see our resources, and of course optionally use them resources.
Dr. Girdhar, let me come back to you. You said, of course, there is some good news that although many people are getting infected, those who are going to the hospital or those who require hospitalization is less. There more people are asymptomatic, and hence they could be prone to infecting others at the same time. When we look at this situation, is it similar to how it panned out in other countries? Or is the experience of the virus different here in India?
Obviously, there's a major difference compared to other countries, which is the population in the country. The major difference is also in terms of the health system response being variable in different states. The moment we start moving away from state capitals, the health infrastructure actually is very poor in most states. So therefore, there are intra-regional and inter-regional disparities in terms of health system access. Now, as Vishal Singh was narrating his story in Lucknow, I could see that even he was gasping for breath and he was coughing. So that only shows that probably infection is spreading within the family mostly, and he should definitely get tested. But also, most important thing is that at this time, we should be more serious in terms of containing the transmission for two reasons. One, we would want to prevent those 5 to 10% of these large numbers from getting hospitalized. Two, the emergence of variants of concern is directly proportional to the number of cases that we have. More the variants, more the circulation, more will be the variants, because of more will be the mutation. So therefore, for these two reasons, we have to do everything in our might to contain the transmission, there has to be an aggressive containment strategy, especially in those states where the effective reproductive number is nearly 3.
Vishal, here is Dr. Girdhar saying that you should get yourself tested. Have you got yourself tested? We will try and connect with Vishal as well, Dr. Girdhar, but certainly when you were talking about that, he was gasping for breath. That's a matter of concern. And when we look at the entire medical infrastructure, multiple reports coming from several cities, this could very well be the tip of the iceberg. There are reports which may not be which we may not be getting from back of beyond of India. What is the scene of Delhi, Dr. Tyagi? How is Delhi looking like as of now?
Delhi, of course, the number of cases are increasing. Yesterday it was more than 17,000, and as compared to the first wave, it is proportionally more than we can say that we are not expecting such. And health system in the Delhi was good, but seeing the number of patients and of course nobody want to use the government services. Last night there was availability of the government beds in the COVID, but private sector, all the beds are full and every patient want to go to the private sector. So this is the situation, but Delhi government is doing its best. They have made banquet, marriage halls and other places, including hotels, and they have linked the hotels and other places to the nearest hospital so that patients go for isolation at these centers, and whenever they are linked to the other hospital, then the hospital person will be looking after and coordinating with this banquet.
Dr. Girdhar, during the first wave, we saw several isolation centers that were set up. Will they be of use even in the second wave? What is the nature of infection this time around? Is it more deadly, as is being said, because of the faster it is spreading? Is it more lethal, more infectious?
Yeah, so let me just take the example of Mumbai and Delhi. In Mumbai, only 4.5% of the total cases require hospitalization, and yet they faced severe strain in the health system response. I'm not really worried that much about Mumbai and Delhi, which have better health system, but the same percentage, around 5 to 10%, will be the proportion of people who might be requiring critical care everywhere. See, in order to address that, we need to make sure that there are makeshift arrangements for some kind of oxygen supplementation till such a time where critical care beds are available. Another most important thing what we tried in Karnataka state, Maria, is an initiative started by Pradeep Rangappa of Columbia Asia and other team members of tele-ICU. So from Bangalore, they could manage the ICUs for all the district headquarters. As a result of that, the mortality in the districts was much lower than Bangalore. So we need to be stepping up tele-ICU facilities.
Do you get this sense, Dr. Giridhar, that perhaps in rural parts of India, the situation could be better than the urban centers?
Since the virus is spreading faster, wherever there is high population density, there will be more number of cases.
Fine enough. Let me give the final words to Deepak. Deepak, you have managed a bed, but overall, what are you listening from people around you? How bad is the situation?
Yeah, I definitely thought that we would have learned a lesson from wave 1. And I was expecting that by the end of wave 1, the government should have started preparing for wave 2. So it was definitely that we got to face more waves. The wave 2 is not the end. But I think government somewhere failed here to prepare themselves.
So we should have been better prepared for wave 2.
Yes, wave 2. And definitely we might have more waves as well. But as you earlier said, that wave 2 will be a big wave, and we'll see a huge surge here and a huge mortality as well. So I definitely believe that government has failed to prepare themselves for wave 2.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Tyagi, Girdhar Babu, and all those who have patients and are trying to get a bed. Someone has managed, but there are several who are still struggling. Our thoughts with them. This story is still around. The coronavirus is lurking around, and hence the message is wear the mask, follow norms of social distancing. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow.